are we doing with self-inquiry? And to whom does this come? Anybody? Yeah.
Is there any other than, first you ask the question, I'm happy, who's happy? Who's this I I'm talking about? Is there any other question that you can ask that, or is it just who's happy and then the answer I am happy and then you ask who is the I? That's the extent of it, right?
Yeah, sometimes Robert asks the question, or suggests we ask the question, where does this I come from? That's the only other question I've heard him suggest there. Looking for the origin of the I.
And then you do it on as much as possible, or can you do too much of it, or?
I don't think you can do too much of it. Whenever you're led to it, it's fine. The question is, are you seeing gaps between your thoughts? Are you seeing the silence? And is anybody having any success with actually seeing the pauses between their thoughts, doing this while you're thinking, while your mind's trying to run, and seeing gaps? Yeah. And that's the game. The game is to see that thoughts are part of the game. Is to discover that thoughts are discrete, separate things, and that there's a gap in between them, and this is silence. And seeing that silence, or being, you don't really see it because it's not that there's somebody seeing it so much, but experiencing that silence, let's say. While you're in that silence, there's the illusion that there's some I thinking all these endless chain of thoughts disappears. When you're in that silence, the I thought's not there, because the I thought's just one of those thoughts, okay? So when you're in the silence, when you're in that gap, there's no I thought there. And that, if you play with that for a while, what you'll discover is that it's the fact that the thoughts go on endlessly and there's never any break in them that gives us the illusion of this continuity of this I that's thinking. The big lie is that there's somebody thinking those thoughts, or doing these deeds, or feeling these feelings, or acting these acts, or whatever. And one of the things that primarily sustains the illusion that there's somebody doing that is the fact that they're incessant. Since they're incessant, we think there's something here. So if we can do enough self-inquiry that we start seeing the gaps between the thoughts, think, well, what's there during the gap? Is the question. Does anybody play with the, where does this, some of these thoughts come, they come to me, well, who are you? Who is this me? Or where does this me come from? Does anybody play with it? Where does this me come from? What happens? What's your experience?
Well, I definitely noticed, a little bit the incessant thinking, and then a little more, when I do it, to whom does this come, then a little more gaps. And then, then I keep going, like you said, with Luke. Who is this, what is this I, and I haven't had an answer for it. Sometimes it's just a feeling, sometimes...
Well, there isn't an answer for it.
Yeah.
That's the point. Nowhere.
Yeah. I just remember Robert said something is nothing, nothing is something. And that kind of just clears it away for me, whatever I get confused. Yeah. Something is nothing and nothing is something. That's nice to me. But I don't know if I have an experience with it. It's just like that.
That's a fun thing to play with, saying, well, where does this I come from? Robert says, follow the I, or abide in the I is what he says. One way of doing that is to just quietly, when it says I think this, and where does this I come from? You just have to quietly and look for it. Where does this I come from? And look for it. And you can just very quietly say to yourself, I, and try to see what it is you're talking about, or where it comes from, and it sort of dissolves. Yeah.
I was just going to say my experience with it is just I don't have the discipline or the patience or whatever to continue to do it, but usually any time that I need to do it, I'm concerned. I do it. I'm concerned about something, and it helps me to drop concern. It reminds me that I'm doing all of this work and that I'm involved in and that I know on some level there's something to be concerned about. So that's usually what happens. Is I do it once and I go, exactly.
But if you can touch the silence, you will drop all concern.
Well, maybe it's working then. Because it helps drop concern.
Sure. When you're in the silence, there can be no concern. Concern requires thinking. So a real good concern remedy is, to whom does this concern come? Comes to Leelaa. Who is this me? Yeah. That's one of the points. Yeah.
I even do it for when I have some of my shame issues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even wait for a situation to come up. I make the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Who makes the situation? It's like you can do it endlessly all day, all day. But I have this shame issue, and then who's ashamed?
Yeah.
Who is this? I don't wait for it. So you can do that too.
Yeah. I mean, literally, you can do it all the time. You can either be doing it or in the silence. Depending on the silence, there's another excuse to do it.
I don't know if this relates, but can you choose your thoughts? It's like when I come out of the silence, can I decide what I'm going to think about, or is
What's your experience?
well, sometimes no, it just starts.
That's a tough one, because we're so incredibly conditioned to think that I think. Okay? And we all are just incredibly conditioned to think I think, and therefore we sort of assume that I must be choosing my thoughts. And if you pay attention, that's not your experience. I think nobody in their right mind would choose to think. Are you choosing to think any of those thoughts? I mean, when you wake up in the morning and the thought vulture's on the headboard and jumps on you, the minute your eyes open, and starts telling you about all the things that go wrong, that's not your choice, No, the answer is no. You have no responsibility for your thoughts at all. They're not yours. They're just thoughts.
That's what this self-conditioning is doing for me. It's bringing me to that point where I can see the gap in between when it becomes really silent and then when it starts again. Right before it starts again, well, I can't see it before. It's more afterwards that
Yeah, but it starts where it starts. Often it'll pick up right where it left off, but no, I don't initiate my thinking. I don't think. And for you to choose what you're thinking about,
because it starts before you.
Yeah, it comes out from here. It feels like, but if you were initiating your next thought, then if you said, well, to whom does this thought come, and it say it comes to me, it'd be right. No, it doesn't come to you. For you to be able to use the little I to be able to initiate the next thought, there would have to be a little I. And the little I is just a thought. The whole point of the self-inquiry, so there's 2 points. The real point is to experience the silence. But a really useful side effect is to discover, realize, get that little I is just a thought. That if I'm not thinking I, there is no I. Little I, always. Big I is omnipresence. Okay? Ignoring omnipresence, what is? If I'm not thinking I, there is not any I. Now, there appears to be this phenomenon, like there appears to be that phenomenon, this phenomenon, cat phenomenon, sunset phenomenon. There appears to be a body phenomenon. Occasionally there appears to be thought phenomenon. Okay? But if I'm not thinking I, there isn't one. There's just phenomena. Do you see that? You get what I'm saying? I have to be actively thinking I for there to be I, because I is just the I thought itself. Okay? If I'm not thinking I, there's no I. It's just the I thought. The only I there is the thought I. It's absolutely ludicrous.
That's similar to what Osho talks about when he says you don't really have any problems, your mind fabricates them.
Right.
They're called preferences. Right? Because it didn't go how I wanted, so therefore I call it a problem. It's really, and there's no reality to that, it's just thought.
Right. If you're not thinking, you have no problems. First of all, there's no you to have the problem. But second of all, if there were you, there couldn't be a problem, because the problem requires thinking. Because the only way I can have a problem is to be measuring the discrepancy between how I want it to be and how it appears to be.
So the mind fabricates itself, and the mind doesn't really. The thought fabricates itself, and it doesn't really.
Now, thoughts don't fabricate themselves. It's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
What is fabricate thoughts?
When the thinking changes, does the feeling change, or does the feeling change and the thinking change? Does it all the time? Like you can, like try to think of, say that, but there's still this feeling of little I.
Yeah.
And
But there's this feeling that you associate, that you label little I.
like big I happens when things happen, and they look at, well, little I when it goes bad.
Those are both little I. Yeah. Those are happy little I and sad little I. But they're both. Still, the point is that the problem there is that you're labeling that feeling as I, rather than labeling it as body. I mean, so I sit here and I'm aware of this body, okay? Now I can label it me, and there's a body here and there's thoughts going on here. And I can label it Lee, or I can think I. And I have a totally different experience. If I say I'm sitting here, then I'm taking responsibility for the body and the thoughts and the presence and everything, and I say I'm sitting here. If I say my body's sitting here, it's a totally different experience. Or if I say Lee is sitting here, if I talk about myself in the third person rather than the first person, it's a totally different experience, okay? And there's no difference in the two expressions except that I've dropped the I thought. And Lee is sitting here. It has nothing to do with I. I is sitting there, and 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 I is up here behind me. And I is blowing there on the table, and Lee is sitting here. You see what I'm saying? So there's a feeling, even in the silence, there's a feeling. There may be in the silence, there may be a body feeling, there may be sounds out there feeling, because the silence is the absence of sound, and it's the absence of the I thought. So there's a feeling there, but you have to think in order to label that I. And that's a misidentification. I'm sorry, your name is Steve.
I've had a couple of experiences of practicing this with others, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that work? Oh, yeah, and then who did that?
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, just the other person, being in what appeared to be something that I wasn't resonating with, and just asking the question on their behalf almost.
Yeah.
To myself. It happened a couple times.
You could ask it out loud, too.
Yeah.
Robert did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do that, Yeah. Joanne, especially when we're walking, who thinks she's this? If she doesn't jump in there first and say, who's thinking this? I'll ask her, who's thinking that? We both laugh. You know, you can do that to other people if they can hear it.
I've been doing that with myself, too.
Sure.
I've been doing a lot of it who thinks that I'm not the same way. Who cares about this?
Sure.
Who wants to think about this? Who thinks anything about this? But I actually got an answer, probably because I just listened to an Osho CD where he was talking about something related to that. I heard it in my head and it said, oh, that's just the girl in the dream. And then I felt it.
Okay, cool. That might be a higher end.
It's awesome. That's just the girl in the dream.
That's right. The girl in the dream has nothing to do with me. I am his.
It was the most intrusive thing I've ever experienced.
Cool. So do we have a good sense now of what the self-inquiry is about and what we're shooting for? The idea, especially for those of us who've done the script and kid work, we're pretty well aware that the depth of the success of our script and kid work, it depends directly on the amount of the spiritual adult we have in gear, right? And the amount of spiritual adult we have in gear means the extent to which we're aware of what is. And aware of what is the same as aware of the silence. So one of the reasons for that exercise is that it does increase your spiritual adult, in spite of the fact that your mind is totally unaware of that fact, because spiritual adult is nothing intellectual anyway, so we have no sense that it's doing that. We think we're all playing with this idea of playing some mind game with the I thought. But in fact, we're increasing our spiritual adult, or that's really not quite the right word, because all there is spiritual adult. But we are decreasing the illusory little I, which is what's preventing our experiencing what is. Okay? So this process evaporates those a lot. As I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, I practiced this so much. I used to spend 6, 8, 10 hours a week on the freeway driving to and from Robertson. And I would just figure that going to or from Robertson was a great time to practice self-inquiry. So I just practiced it on the freeway, come on out there and back, and on the cars around me and everything. And I got very quickly, like in a matter of very few months, to the point where I just think the first word who and get dropped into the silence, okay? And the I thought is that's precarious. But it's a muscle. And all that's really doing is just getting rid of the I thought. All you have to do is see that when you're not thinking I, there is no I. And if there is no I, then all there is what is, and that's spiritual adult. So we're talking about developing the muscle that is necessary to have in conjunction with the script and kid work. I keep claiming that this is a three-legged stool and that this is the third leg. And while learning the letter of truth doesn't really do that much except enable all the rest of it, because that's an approach to your intellect. Here, the last 2 weeks, we've been working on improving our spiritual adult. So I want tonight, good time. So tonight I want to introduce the other best way to get spiritual adults in gear, or improve our conscious contact with God, or get into the silence, or experience I am, or whatever you want to call it. And that's called the awareness exercise. This is a technique that came to Barbara that she was given. And some people, like a couple of you apparently, have no trouble practicing self-inquiry and enjoy doing it, but for a lot of people, that's an awfully mental thing, at least to get started, and then they don't do it, or don't enjoy that practice, or don't seem to be able to discipline themselves to do it. So Barbara came up with this awareness exercise, and this is an exercise that everybody can do. And if you practice it, if you work at it diligently even for a month, but maybe even just a night, you can have the experience of the silence. And it's a multiple stage practice. There's kind of 20 awareness exercise Barbara takes, by the way. If you want to go crazy. But I was listening to one where she was teaching a class in Honolulu. She very seldom taught any closed classes outside of the valley where the students were. But she was, in her last 3 or 4 years, or 2 years, she was teaching around a bit. And she was in Honolulu with a bunch who'd never done it. And so it was interesting to hear her take new people through it. And interestingly enough, her first exercise was to ask them all to close their eyes. So do that now. Close your eyes. Okay, now look at me with your ears. That's what I thought. Okay, try, really. With your eyes closed, look at me with your ears. How'd you do? Any luck? The point is that the ears is the wrong tool for looking with. We have 5 senses, and they're all really clearly defined, and you can't look with your ears, and you can't smell with your eyes, and you can't taste with your nose. And each one has a very distinct and very unique tool, and you have to pick up the right tool for the right purpose. So you have to listen with your ears and look with your eyes. So then she goes on to the next point in this class, and she says, now there's other things besides the 5 senses. You're not only listening to me right now, but you're understanding. You're listening to the words and making sense out of them, and testing, I guess, to see whether you believe they're true or not. And to do that, you're using your intellect. And you can't understand what I'm saying with your ears. All you can do is hear what I'm saying with your ears. And you can't hear with your intellect. All you can do is understand whatever you hear. So a 6th tool we have besides the 5 senses is the intellect tool, or what people tend to call the mind, although we use that in a very special way around here. But your 6th sense is really your mind. And that also is a particular tool, very useful for figuring things out and remembering telephone numbers and stuff like that, and passing exams in college and stuff like that. But that also is not the right tool for experiencing God with. You can't reach God with your mind. You can't figure out God. That's why we started out with the comment about throwing away your intellect at the start of pointing at the moon. The mind is not the right tool to use to find God. It's not the right tool to reason will not discover God. So we need to find another faculty which we have, which Barbara calls the awareness faculty. So now let's play with that. Now close your eyes again. And I want you with your eyes closed and without using your mind, no visualizing, I want you to be aware of your left earlobe. Be aware of your left earlobe. Keep your 5 senses out of it. No looking at it or anything. And don't imagine it. Don't speculate. Be aware of your left earlobe. How do you do? Can we do that? Is everybody able to be aware of your left earlobe? No? What happened?
No.
Huh?
It's not there.
Not there. What were you aware of?
Nothing.
I think, well, cool, that's a shortcut. How about anybody else? Is anybody else able to aware of your left ear? Was everybody else able to? Let's try it again. Let's close your eyes now, and I want you to be aware now of your right thumb. My body's playing tricks on me. I say, be aware of my left earlobe, and my right earlobe comes up. I say, be aware of your right thumb, and my left thumb starts up. Right. Be aware of your right thumb. Just be aware of your right thumb. Okay. So somebody say, how do you know you're aware of your right thumb? If you're not using your senses and you're not using your image of it, what does it feel like? How do you know you're aware of your right thumb?
Sensation.
Yeah, there's some sort of sensation. It may feel warm or it may buzz. I don't know. It's different people, I suppose.
That you're mentally focused on it?
Well, you are focused on it, but not mentally focused on it. Although Barbara does say that sometimes. Sometimes she says focus on your nose.
Almost feels like it's moving.
Almost not. Yeah, Okay. Yeah.
Did you say directing attention to the thumb?
Well, I think I prefer to use the word awareness, directing awareness to your thumb, but yeah, I mean, certainly you are attentive to it, and certainly you are focused on it.
And if you're trying not to use your senses, there's some grappling to find faculty that you can, that is aware of it. There's some reaching for that, cultivating that.
Yes, there is.
Specifically not trying to visualize it or feel it or...
That's the point, is that I don't want you to pick up those other tools. Put your mind tool down. Tell your mind you'll get back to it when you want to read something later. Put your mind down. And you don't get to try to feel it, although you may have a sense of sensation there because you're going to have to translate its presence in some sense, but the only reason we close our eyes is because otherwise, if I said be aware of your knee, look at it. Yeah.
I think there's just a knowingness that it's there where it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no senses operating. It's awareness. And I was thinking about, when people supposedly have amputated legs and stuff, they still have this awareness. They talk about a lot of times that it's there, the whole thing. It's interesting.
When you say you don't feel it, you physically touch it, right?
Yeah.
There's a feeling that you just know it's there.
That's right. You're always going to have that. And we use the word feeling for that. There's a problem now where we use to feel. I mean, don't feel it in the sense of sense it.
I think what I do is I give myself the benefit of the doubt when you get the earlobe, I visualize it and I kind of felt it. But I thought I also sensed some gas in there. I mean, I just kind of rooting for myself that there is awareness happening, even though those other sensual things are coming up. I just kind of give myself the benefit of the doubt.
Well, if you're reasoning about it and giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, you're using your mind. And you can be actually aware of it. All right, let's go one other step. Well, first of all, let me ask you another question. When you were being aware of your right thumb, what happened to your left earlobe?
Yeah.
It disappeared. You were aware of this, and you were no longer aware of this. It disappeared, right? Okay. The point is that there is some sort of a faculty that we have, which we're calling the awareness faculty, and we're able to direct it. And you say, be aware of my left earlobe, and it goes there. And you say, be aware of my right thumb, and it goes there. Okay? So there is this faculty, other than the five senses, and other than the intellect, which we all have, and which we all have control of, and it follows us. It obeys us. Okay? That's the point. And let's take one more step on that now. Be aware of the hair on the top of your head. or the back of your head if you're bald like me. Okay, so be aware of the hair on the top of your head. Okay, now increase that awareness. Just increase that awareness. Increase it. Increase your awareness of the hair on your head. Did that work? Did it increase? Interesting faculty, huh? Goes where you tell it to, it's aware of what you tell it to be aware of, and it increases when you can increase it. So that's the first third of the awareness exercise. And for those of you who are new to this, who have not done this before, play with this for a few days and stop for 2 minutes once in a while and pick a part and become aware of it. And pick another part and become aware of it and increase your awareness. What I want you to do is become absolutely convinced that you do have a faculty that we're calling the awareness faculty that's different from any of your five senses or your mind, and that it obeys you, goes where you tell it to, and that it increases. And you will find, interestingly enough, that it will be aware of things that you don't know where they are. You could all, for instance, be aware of your spleen. And if you don't happen to know any anatomy and know where your spleen is, nonetheless, you will become aware of your spleen. The mind, the awareness faculty, even knows where stuff is. So the first stage in the awareness exercise is the physical stage, and its purpose is to prove that we have one, and that we can control it, and that it goes where we tell it to, and that we can increase it, okay? Any questions about that? Yeah.
Can we refer to as your consciousness faculty also? Is your consciousness?
Now, consciousness is much more all-inclusive than that. We could also talk about consciousness faculty that includes my intellect, and I'm aware that I can see, and that's consciousness. Consciousness is the whole thing. All there is consciousness, but awareness is a particular faculty within consciousness.
So basically, the awareness faculty could be just like smell or hearing, but it's just one of the faculties that we don't have developed or haven't used much. If I wouldn't be using this awareness faculty ever since I was born, and it would be strong, it would be easy to do, but is it the same as smell? Because when I say I am directing it,
it's not a physical sense.
It's not a physical sense.
No, it's not a physical sense. It's a faculty, a spiritual faculty, more like intuition and stuff like that, but it's a spiritual faculty, and it's a particular faculty that we can use to become aware of anything and everything. So let me take you one more step now. Okay, now close your eyes. Now I want you to be aware of I. Big I. Be aware of I. Be aware of I am. The I that I am. Be aware of that I. How do we do? Report in. Anybody aware of I? Anybody have any awareness?
Well, I think it's really hard to explain without that.
Sure. What happened?
Well, it seemed to, it's really hard to describe it.
Tell me what it felt like or something, but what did it feel?
It felt like it went beyond the structure of my thought, my existing.
Good.
It felt like it went way beyond it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have that sense? Huh?
It felt like nothing.
Like it was outside of your body or beyond your body or maybe even boundless, although not.
It's like an expansion.
Actually, for me, it was only within this room. It was limited by these walls, but it felt it was totally outside my body, yeah.
Cool. That's how you know that just so that you'll know whether you're doing it. when you're experiencing, when you're aware of I am, you'll know that it's not your body and it's not in your body. I don't know where you will experience it, and it may experience it even as omnipresence, but you will be aware that it's not your body and it's not in your body. Okay? So yeah, you got it, and you got it, and you got it, and so let's do that again. Okay, now be aware of I. You didn't even say it really quietly yourself. Just say I. Anybody have any luck? Who's having difficulty?
I was practicing this since the last time we did this last year, and I don't know if what I experienced, again, it's hard to explain, but I don't know if it's outside of it, but this maybe like a jolt kind of, and then I feel real high, like the thoughts kind of, like I'm lifted out of whatever it is, I think I'm going through. I don't know, that's what I experienced. I don't know.
Sure. Robert said something to me once a long time ago that was very important to me, talking about little I, and that he says, when we talk about little I, we have the idea that it's constrained, like it's inside our skulls or something, and he says, just let the boundary of your little I dissolve, okay? And so that's what being aware of the I feels like to me, like that artificial boundary that kept little I dissolved, and suddenly I got bigger. And my own sense is it's not omnipresent in the sense that I know I'm everywhere, but it's omnipresent in the sense that I know there's no limit. I'm not aware of any limit to me, that I'm just clearly not in the body, that I'm out there. Another word that I would use is that I feel presence. I feel a presence I feel a presence that's bigger, that's outside and that includes my body. Okay? That's what I feel is this presence. Did anybody have that kind of experience? Are you feeling the presence?
I feel like it's here, and there's like a slight sensation of falling, and then I start smile a little bit, and then I want to do it again, and then I get bored with it. But I keep doing it. It's the same thing Steve shared one time about Eckhart Tolle talking about asking yourself what your next thought is going to be, and when I do that, I have the same thing. But it's just really quick, I immediately know it happened, and then I'm thinking about it, and I do it again, and then I get bored with it. Yeah.
All right, let's try that one more time. Okay, one more time. Now, I want you to be aware of I am. The I am that I am. The I am that I really am. Now increase that awareness. Increase your awareness of I am. Anybody have any luck? Yeah.
What I experienced with this is lightness and tremendous, sometimes well-being, almost a vibration. And it's just, I've been listening to this Goldsmith tape of it quite a bit this week, and just a few times, it's just amazing, and it just seems like, to describe it, for me, just in very ordinary language, a great place to go. And sometimes just a tremendous smile feels like my face is going to burst. And it's just, I mean, literally one day, it burned off my depression. And it was, wow, can I buy this stuff? Where is it?
Well, this is it. This is the freebie. It's so much better than miracle drugs. And the fact is that if I'm aware of I am, then as we discovered, if I'm aware of my me, I'm not aware of my ear. If I'm aware of I am, I'm not aware of little I. Okay? And so if I'm aware of I am not aware of anxiety and depression. You know, I don't need any medications. I'm not aware of any of those things. Right? If I'm aware of I am, then I'm aware of infinite peace and harmony. I'm aware of the peace that passes all understanding is what we're getting to now. See? And this is something you can get there, and you can do it. You can master this month. Yeah.
I was able to do the body parts, but when I start trying to be aware of I am, it makes me more aware of little I. Okay, I think my head is trying to like wrap around finding a feeling or a sensation or something to give me this I am. Mm-hmm. And so like the boundary of the first part you said about it not being in the body was helpful, and so I kind of feel like the boundary of my body is breaking down. I don't feel that, but definitely the idea that I have in my head of what I am would feel like feels a lot different. I don't feel any kind of...
Yeah, you got your mind still involved in it. And the other thing is you don't yet trust your awareness faculty. You don't trust the fact that it knows what I am is and could go there in a hot second. And that's the only reason we do the be aware of body parts stuff, is to demonstrate that the faculty exists and they can be trusted, because it always goes there. Every time you be aware of your little toe, it goes to your little toe, and never screws up and goes to your ear when you're being aware of the little toe, you know. It knows where these things are, and so the suggestion would be to practice with that. You know, do that a few times and then reach for I am. Do body parts a couple of times and then reach for I am. Do body parts and increase your awareness and then reach for I am. And develop the trust that faculty will work, but it's unused. You didn't really have it before tonight, probably. Yeah.
I had something happen this last time, and I had it happen in meditation before, and I want to ask you what it is. It's like, it feels like an expansion to me when you first started maybe where I am, and that happened the first couple of times, and then it started happening again. And then it started getting to this place where I felt like I wasn't going to breathe anymore, like I was going to die real fast. And I had to go past that point to go further into it. Mm-hmm. Like there was this fear came in for, I don't know who got a place for like 2 seconds, like if I stay in this I'm going to die, I'm not going to breathe anymore. And then I just let that thought go, and then it just expanded more. And I've had that happen in meditation. When I start getting in something that's really deep, it feels like something's going to leave and go, like me. And there's a fear during the meditation which always pulled me right back to here, right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is that? Fear. And so that's a little lie, plunging in, saying...
No, still there, fear of annihilation.
How about not breathing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it felt like. I wasn't going to breathe anymore.
That's not there. That's a fear reaction, you know. And breathe through it is the right answer.
Yeah. This time I did, so we didn't. I'm here.
I told you.
Yeah.
Not to worry. I mean, you'll black out and the body will start breathing. You know, there's nothing to worry about. I had that experience the day that Rashneesh went into silence and dropped us into the silence rather than talking when he was exposed to it. My body reaction was panic. More because of that silence was so healing that the bottom fell off. I had the falling thing, the fear of falling type thing, that whole thing, and it was that kind of fear, the shock fear, isn't it? So that's a physical reaction to being dropped into the silence, and an accurate fear of immediate annihilation.
Okay.
But the point is that immediate annihilation doesn't even hurt.
Yeah. That was it, yeah.
No problem. So I die. So I disappear. So I'm not. No problem. It's simply.
I was going to say I've had the same experiences at a couple of retreats or some, I think with people who are good at dropping people into the silence, and I think especially the first day, when I was still, my mind was so busy, I had that same reaction. Like I could feel myself. I could feel silence coming over me, but like that fear and kind of fighting it, but it was like so powerful that, I could feel kind of the fear kind of going, no, and that eventually went away after sitting there long enough, but that's happened several times.
And if you become familiar with it and don't die, the fear tends to go away.
What happened in the last one was, it was the most big, powerful, and I started to became aware of these sensations, and then it grieved me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt this totally not the doer. Like, it happened. I was aware of it happening.
Cool. If you're out of the way, the illusion of you is out of the way, the body works. The body will go on breathing. The body will do its own. We talked, you weren't here, but we talked about cause and effect. And the idea that every effect has a cause, and therefore the idea that, that for there to be breathing, there has to be an I to breathe. And that's part of what sustains this idea that there's an I, is I think that I breathe. And I think that it's possible for I to not breathe. And the fact is that there's breathing. And it's not that I was breathing. So if you're truly out of the way, then the body will still be there, and it'll be breathing, and it'll be fine.
So that's the experience of awareness, where you're just like, there's breathing, there's thinking, there's laughing, there's just this awareness of what is.
All the stuff, yeah.
No identification.
But with no labeling.
No judgment.
Yeah, no labeling.
No labeling.
When I say I'm aware of my breathing, I'm not saying, oh, I'm breathing. That's not what I mean. There's no words, no labeling. But breathing is happening. Body is sitting here cross-legged. Silence is here. I am here. But there's no, if the mind is silent, there's no need to identify. I think we're going to stop there. I want, and we'll finish the exercise. There's one more step to this, but let's practice this for a week. I mean, really work with this. Let's get work with the, like I say, work with body parts. Do a couple of body parts and increase your awareness of the body parts, and then reach for I. Reach for I am. And be aware that it's the big I am, it's the I am, the real I am is fine. Your awareness faculty knows what the real I am is. And I have played with it, and I have discovered that I can tell it to be aware of the little I, and I get this real sense of body, and what I used to identify with, I get this real sense of body, and this thing right here, and then I say, be aware of the big I, and everything dissolves, and I'm now omnipresent is the right word, but I don't have the experience of being everywhere. But I have I don't have any experiences of being any limitations. But the center of it is still here. I mean, it still has positionality in time and space. It's here. The one I'm aware of. When I'm aware of I'm aware of it centered here somehow, but it's not. So do that. So then reach for being aware of the big I, and you can say I am to yourself silently or quietly. I am. While you're being aware of it, feel I am. And then try increasing your awareness of I am, and see if you can get those working. Another experience I had that also, of course, once you the first time you get to where you can go into the silence, then the other ways are a lot easier. It's like your first language is really hard to learn, and then the other ones are a lot easier. Another way that I learned to get into, that I was given to get into the silence, was I started, now maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started beginning every meditation with peace, be still, and know that I am God. Okay? Every time I sat down to meditate, I would say, peace, be still, and know that I am God. And part of the reason for that is just because doing the same thing over and over, having a ritual, tends to put yourself in the frame of mind so that it got to whether if I would say, peace, be still, and know that I am God, it would drop me into meditation. Okay? A useful tool in that sense. But then without me doing it, it changed to peace, be still, and know that I am. Okay? The God dropped. It just came to know that I am, because God is obviously extra in that sentence. So it's just peace, be still, and know that I am. And right there, I was in this presence that I'm asking you people to learn to reach for. So that's another way it works for me. It's just, I can just say that, peace, be still, and know that I am. And here it is. In fact, that's not right. If I say peace, be still, and know that I am, then I am. And it can become that easy. Where I want us to get, because then you'll own it, and you won't need me or this or anything. I want us to get to the point where we can be in I am at will and stay there. And then I want us to go one step further and be able to be in the silence, which is beyond I am, and stay there. So that you can be in the silence and stay there as long as you want. And when you're there, then you no longer need teachers or books or anything, because then you're in the infinite intelligence, the infinite everything. So the game is to learn to be. And I have a different experience for I am in the silence. I have a very definitely different experience. And maybe we'll find out about that next week and play with it. So. But you can all learn this month, this year, to be in the silence at will. Which is to say, you can have a direct experience of God at will. It's a good place to start. And now the reason we call this awareness exercise, and the real answer to your question is, all there is consciousness. And it's what Robert used to call choiceless effort, pure awareness. And if you use in the word in that sense, then awareness and consciousness are synonymous. And that awareness and this awareness that we're calling the awareness faculty are the same awareness. And the reason, of course, it knows where everything is because it's aware of everything, because it's the awareness. You know, it's the only awareness there is, so it is aware of everything. Knows the answers to everything. It's the awareness that answers Hawkins' calibration questions. Same awareness. You know, it's just the one awareness. So the real answer to your question is, yeah, they're the same, but not when we're talking about it in the limited sense of a faculty. Okay? But Robert certainly used awareness as synonymously with consciousness. Oh yeah, and the flashcard for tonight. Gotta have a flashcard for tonight. And the flashcard for tonight for this week is, it doesn't read my thinking. Of course. This flashcard I'll read, and whatever comes up, say it doesn't read my thinking. So it's a class. We'll get that ruler tonight, but that's all right. We got all the word exercises we can handle. Practice, practice, practice. See how far you can get next week, and then we'll play with it some more. I want you to get this. Okay, thanks for coming. Love you all.